Welcome to Remove Before Flight, where we help prepare veterans to start, grow, or scale a business. And in this episode, we had the pleasure of talking to Tsai, one of the co-founders of Veterati and a serial entrepreneur. I'm your host, Kevin Fairbanks. Thank you for being part of our show. Now sit back and get ready to learn how to be a success. We're happy to be part of the Change Your POV network, but in order to keep bringing you valuable content, we need your support. Wow, now I'm starting to sound like all those public radio programs I heard growing up as a kid. But seriously, please show us some love and help continue the great programming that Change Your POV network offers by making a donation today. Visit changeyourpov.com/support us, where you can find valuable information about supporting the network through Patreon. Before we get started, let me give you a brief introduction about our guest, Tsai, by reading you her biography. Tsai is an entrepreneur solving social challenges since 2006 with creativity, tech, grit, and optimism. Branding, communication, and innovation strategist for emerging brands and Fortune 100 MNCs. Advisor to startups and nonprofits. A mentor to veterans, military spouses, entrepreneurs, and good people. And now, let's welcome Diana to our show and have her give us a 30,000-foot overview in her own words.
Sure, I'd love to. And thanks for having me today. Diana Tsai, co-founder and CEO of Veterati. I am an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, always focused on solving social challenges with businesses. Born in Columbus, Ohio, Midwestern girl. Pretty much bored out of my mind in the Midwest, and that's probably why I ended up running around the world doing startups. So there's your 30-second view.
Nice. I read that you started your first nonprofit at the age of 13. Can you tell us when you first realized that you were destined to be an entrepreneur?
Wow. So I actually was not one of those entrepreneurs that wanted to be an entrepreneur. I don't think it was actually cool yet to be an entrepreneur. So here's what happened. I was reading a newspaper article. It was a Times Magazine article, and it was featuring all these photographs about the Darfur genocide. Mm-hmm. And I remember, I had gone through a phase where I was reading a lot of books about World War II and World War I, and specifically a lot of Holocaust stories, pretty much everything on the Holocaust I was reading. And the one thing that kept reoccurring is, we will never let this happen again. And I was stunned, absolutely. Just as a child, you look at that and you're just like, what? But all the adults in the world said this would never happen again. How is it possible it's happening again and over again? And so I had a very serious existential crisis. I cried the entire night, literally the entire night. I didn't sleep the entire night. I was thinking about this. And in the end of it, I had actually mulled over all the possibilities. It was okay, well, either I go into politics and change the rules of the game, or go into some form of policy or anything like this. Or, I don't know what it is, because to me, it was these organizations that were trying to do Band-Aid solutions. It didn't feel like it was enough. There were fundamental core issues that were at play. And so at that point, from a young age, I decided I was going to go into politics and go to Georgetown School of Foreign Service, which is where I did end up eventually. But going back to that first phase, I remember thinking the long-term goal is to be a change maker that can affect this before it happens, right? Something like the Darfur genocide. But the short term, you can't just let people die. Even if you're going to make a long-term plan, you have to do something in the short term. So my short-term response was, well, maybe I can get my school involved. So getting students involved, I think we got 70 students involved. We started doing fundraisers, running around the neighborhood, getting local businesses involved, running this huge Thanksgiving dinner thing where all the community came in, Buca de Beppo sponsored, everyone got in. And I just remember thinking wow, if you just activate, everything happens. Everyone says yes. No one says no to you when you say, I want to raise money and fund this initiative in the Berkeley University, where they're developing these stoves that refugees and women in Darfur are able to build themselves. It helps the economy. It helps the woman. It's all these other things. So I think that seeded the, wow, if you want to actualize the solution to a problem, you can do it instantaneously and with no resources. And probably that would be the genesis of this entrepreneurial spirit. And I can get into my first real entrepreneurial venture, which happened during college, sophomore year of college. But that gets into more so why I've never been afraid of risk. So it's kind of a different proposition, but it all builds, each story built in on the next one, right?
Nice. I noticed that your experience over the years has involved a lot of businesses that required
passion about a cause. How do you go about finding the right people to bring into your organization that truly care about the organization and the cause that you're trying to achieve?
Yeah. You get smarter over time. I mean, you get smarter over time. I think it's, in the beginning, it was, well, okay, so our CTO always says this to me, and he's a mentor to me as well. So both of my co-founders at Veterati, our CTO is T Tang, he's a Marine. He's amazing, tech entrepreneur. And he always says, like, Diana, we don't go to war with the army that we want. You go to war with the army you have. So we're much less concerned about, like, who's your perfect hire. I think people always think, like, who's the perfect hire? And it's more just about, well, who do we have and how do we make this work, puzzle it together? So I think I've never had like a challenge attracting individuals who believe in the same cause and purpose, because I think when you believe so strongly in something, everyone else also comes. It's kind of a attraction factor. And also, if we look around, like in our personal networks in our lives, like how many people genuinely believe that what they're doing is truly changing the world? And so I think it's never been a question of sitting there saying like, okay, well, how are we going to bring in more people that believe the same thing we do? It's more, how do we make sure we can effectively communicate our story in a powerful enough way that it's like drawing moths to light, right? They'll come. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. I find, I work with a lot of startups, and a lot of those people struggle trying to find that perfect team. They waste so much time going, oh, I've got to find the perfect people to sit in this seat and that seat. And I'm like, just go do,
Well, you do need a critical mass. I call it like the perfect storm, right? I've had different ventures in the past. Not all have totally succeeded, right? Yep. And Veterati is a work in progress. And it all depends on having the perfect storm. Like sometimes you have the best world-changing idea and it's the wrong timing and the wrong people. Sometimes you have two pieces out of three. So I actually think about it like when we built Veterati, it was a very deliberate thing too. I mean, there was parts of it that were just by luck and timing and opportunity, but part of it was very deliberate. It was looking at the puzzle pieces we had in place and thinking, do we have a critical mass enough of the puzzle pieces to make this truly a success? Otherwise, we're just wasting our effort, trying to make a difference. So I think that's also important to take into consideration.
You would have think we planned this out, because you started off right on the same line as my next question. And that's talking about, we don't get to be a successful entrepreneur without failure. However, it is how we teach each other of these failures so that others don't make that mistake. What could you elaborate a little bit on some of those failures that you've had over the years?
Definitely. Let me look at a couple of those. Well, so one is, the previous company, like Bun Shop, I built Bun Shop. Okay, so this has to go back all the way. So sophomore year of college, I did a semester abroad in Shanghai. And my parents are Shanghainese and Taiwanese. So I did a semester abroad. And while I was abroad, instead of taking all my classes, I convinced my professors that I wouldn't go to any of my classes and would skip them, and instead go and start a social venture. And the venture at the time was like China has this big economic gap, right? There's this huge economic gap between the people who have wealth and don't have wealth. It's massive and insane, kind of like India. And I spent a lot of time in impoverished communities and found that elderly people had cataract surgery issues, but they couldn't afford to fix it. So basically, like on a whim, I cold emailed the CEO of my favorite sunglasses company, Blue Blockers, Joe Sugarman, and said, hey, Joe, you don't know me, but I want to launch your brand in China and fund these surgeries. And he actually came back to me and said, like, he wrote me back, and this blew my mind. He was like, Diana, why don't you write me a business plan and let's see if we can make this happen. And so 3 months later, talking back and forth, we're on this phone call, and Joe's like, look, Diana, I really love this concept. It sounds amazing, but you're like a 19-year-old girl that I've never met in my life, and I just pitched my team and they think I'm insane. And I was like, Joe, you just have to trust me. And he was like, all right. And he kind of sighs and he's like, okay. So he wires like seed money into my personal bank account and sends inventory over. We end up doing 200 surgeries that summer. We end up like working with all the hospitals locally. Everyone I talked to in China was like, there's no possibility anyone will care about cataract surgeries for poor people. But we ended up doing like direct sales with consumers, funding all these surgeries. Everything happened. I fell in love with the entrepreneurial world. I was like, wow, like if you really believe in it, you can make it happen.
Absolutely.
100%. And so So basically, I also think it's also naivety, like to some extent, because you don't know it's not possible, so you just do it. But after that, so that was sophomore year, junior year, and by senior year of undergrad in Georgetown, I had spent a lot of time in China, and a lot of my friends were emerging artists, designers, and it always was confusing to me, like how China was perceived as this made in China factory versus what I saw as all these, like this entire revolution of emerging creative people that were not recognized for their work. So build a platform called Bun Shop for Chinese designers and artists. That was where I really saw my first failure, because we had this like concept of how we were going to create this e-commerce platform for all these designers. But the problem was that the supply side and demand side markets didn't match up whatsoever. And on the supply side, you know, you're managing all these designers and their products, and they can't get to scale on production. So economic efficiency is not there. So your product prices, the price points don't work for your customer market. Anyway, it was a mess. And we ended up actually pivoting into becoming a branding agency out of that company because of that failure. The good thing is we were able to move fast, and we were lucky. We had customers that for some reason thought we were awesome at branding and innovation and creative work. But yeah, that was definitely the first time where I was like, wrong timing, great idea. It would be a great idea now. You have to, like, sometimes your market's just not there yet.
Absolutely. And it's nice that you recognize that you could pivot and move on. A lot of people don't, and they stay way beyond where they should have and become an absolute failure. You know, if more people could recognize that, hey, it's time to pivot, this isn't the right time or the right direction, let's change focus, they would make so much more success for themselves. So if you had to characterize your life as an entrepreneur in one word, what word would that be?
I think it's an adventure.
Absolutely. Life, every day something different.
Yeah, it's an adventure. It's a chaotic mess of an adventure. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's also constant. Like, I just learned how to skydive recently, and it feels like you're always jumping out of a plane. And like, so I asked my skydiving instructor this, and he was like, well, I was like, when do you stop being afraid of jumping out of the plane? He was like, well, after you're like 25th or 30th, you'll start being less afraid. And then after 100th or 800th or 1,000, you'll stop feeling it. So I'm on my 9th jump now, solo, and I still feel that. And I think it's the same thing with being an entrepreneur. You live through enough of the skydives that you stop. It's not as like terrifying every single day as jumping out of a plane, but you still get that type of a learning curve, right?
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about Veterati. So I've used both sides of your platform as a mentor and a mentee. And I don't want to ask you the same canned questions you've been asked a million times over. You have a great page on your website that goes over how it all started. And we'll have a link on our show page at changeyourpov.com/RBF003. The biggest thing I've heard from a lot of veterans in the community is they want to know, how did you get the name Veterati?
Well, okay, so Daniel, our CEO and my husband, right? We were sitting in Harlem, I think, in our first workspace. It was like a super broken down apartment. We were just chatting because we were calling Veterati Operation American Dream, and it was so cheesy. We were like, okay, and all my friends were like, Diana, you have to change that name. It can't be called Operation American Dream. And so we're bouncing like names back and forth. And I look at Daniel, and I just had this thought. I think it was a combination of Maserati plus maybe the literati or something, because we wanted Veterati. Like, we want a name where people are excited to be part of the name, like proud of the name, like as a community of its own. So I looked at Daniel and I was like, what about Veterati? And so Daniel takes time to digest things. So he was quiet for a while, and he was like, okay, I have to think about that for a day. So while he's thinking about it for a day, I emailed all my friends and was like, what about Veterati? And the response back was awesome. People are like, oh, it sticks in our head.
Yeah,
you know, at first we're like, how does it spelled? But after you figure out how it's spelled, it's just, you know, it sticks in your head. So that's how the name came around.
So I guess Eddie from Change Your POV wins. He said it sounded like a car name to him. So, you know, he was right on track with that.
There you go.
Yeah. Evan Guzman, the global head of military programs and recruiting at Verizon, referred to Veterati as the Uber of mentorship. Would you like to elaborate a little bit on why he would refer to you as the Uber of mentorship?
Yeah, on-demand feature. Just like Uber, when you can book a car with one swipe, one click, same with Veterati. The similarities between us and Uber, and they're exactly at the functionality level, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
for Veterati, that's it. We were built and designed to create an on-demand mentoring experience where any veteran and military spouse would just be able to log in 60 seconds and book a phone call. It was not like we wanted to get rid of the back and forth, the constant negotiation. Should I do, the cold calling, all that scheduling madness, and just make it one click. So that's why he calls it really, it's mentorship on demand. You can go onto the platform, book someone for the next hour. You could find someone for mock interviews in 4 or 5 hours. You can really find mentors everywhere. And it's just like, we are so thankful for the incredible community of mentors that we have. It just blows us away. We learn so much from our mentors every single day,
Absolutely. And it literally is that easy.
Yeah.
A click and you're done. You can search based on a keyword, a location, whatever you're looking for, you can find somebody with the expertise to help you out. And as I said, I've used both sides of it. I enjoy giving back to others, as well as when I need something, that's the first platform I run to go look for somebody.
It's awesome, Kevin.
So it is. And I love the fact that you're using LinkedIn over Facebook. It's that whole professionalism versus the personal life. Too many places out there that try to integrate the business world into everything, want to integrate it with Facebook. And some people need that separation. So one of the biggest things I liked in doing a little bit of research on Veterati is that you're not paying to get these mentors. You're not out there, advertising. It's all organic growth. Can you talk about your principles behind that organic growth and why you are allowing it to just build itself?
Yeah. So 2 reasons. One is what I learned when I got adopted into the military community after meeting Daniel is that it's very tight knit. And also everyone, when something really works, everyone talks about it. You don't need to scream about it. People will talk about it if it really works. But on the other hand, with the 47,000 veteran service organizations out there, a lot of veterans have been burnt by the experiences they've had with organizations. So for us from the very beginning, we wanted to start carefully with a beta test of 100 users. And if they loved it, we would expand it. But we wouldn't really go out on marketing and really all that, because we thought, well, look, if this is a really great experience, our focus and our resources, every dollar we spend should be on product and experience, and if it really creates intensely incredible mentorship conversations on our platform, people will talk about it and it'll organically grow. So that was the philosophy, create an incredible experience. Our mission here is to provide a resource that can truly integrate underemployed and unemployed veterans and military spouses into the workforce through crowdsourced mentoring. If we can create extraordinary mentorship experiences for our mentors and mentees, it'll grow on its own. That being said, we also, the other side of the coin was resources. Early stage startup, you don't have resources. So you really have to focus your energies in one place. And so for us, we've loved organic. It helps us to really understand and hone our product and make sure we serve our users well. Our early stage nightmare situation was bringing on a lot of veterans and spouses and letting them down. That was literally our nightmare situation. What kept us up at night was okay, if these people trust us and they're on our platform looking for advice and it goes wrong, this is really a huge failure. Not just on a commercial level, this is a failure on a personal level. So, we thought growing slow might make sense. Now we're ready to grow fast now that everything works.
Absolutely. And you're getting it is just that, people are spreading it like wildfire. I constantly see the name come up in conversations. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions out there is people feel that they have to have these elaborate qualifications to be a mentor on the platform. And in reality, they don't. Anybody has something to bring to the table to be able to offer somebody else. And I love that that's the focus that you guys have, is just letting anybody who wants something to share be a mentor on there. I've seen too many of these organizations that create mentor programs and they have hard requirements, that the people have experience at a C-level position or above, and some of them are retirees. And by the time you get to them, especially my industry doing technology and digital marketing, I've been paired up through some of those organizations with people who did product design in the 70s and have no idea how marketing happens today. And it's they really don't bring any value to me, because I wasn't looking for that business sense or anything else. I was looking for advice on some of the marketing concepts and everything else that I was doing. And it just frustrates you, and you end up going to another platform or going to try and find another mentor. And with Veterati, I haven't had that. Usually you have something you're looking for, you find a bunch of people that are experienced in it, and they're all willing to help. So
absolutely. Well,
yeah.
Our mentees, like our system was designed with the idea in mind that people are always growing. So we have this matching algorithm, right? And the matching algorithm definitely helps you to make recommendations on who would be a great match for you, depending on what you're searching for right now. But the other part of it is we realize like our mentees, they're smart and you're growing. And as you have each conversation, you're evolving. And there's no one who knows you better than you. And so no matter how, like, it would take us hours of surveying and keeping you on the computer, glued to your phone, filling out surveys and results and questionnaires to be able to gather the information you already have in your head about yourself. So if we give you open access to a mentor database, are able to tag mentors with the keywords, the skills, capabilities that you're looking for, you find your own people, and it works a lot better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love those notifications. Here's your pick of the day. Here's your top 3. And I love the very first one when I signed up to be a mentee after being a mentor on the platform for a while. The very first top pick it came back with was myself. And I'm like, oh, this is so great. I'm supposed to be my own mentor.
So funny.
And it just happened to be, whatever that algorithm match is, saying, hey, they got the same skill sets. They got, the same geographical area, all the things that were in common. I just laughed when I got that back.
That's funny. I've actually heard other mentors and mentees tell me the same thing. They always send me a screenshot saying, look who I got recommended. And I just think it's hilarious that our system does that.
So, yep. So what drives you to be part of Veterati and giving back to the veteran community? I know that after this, you've gotten together with your co-founder and now are married and into the veteran community. But prior to that, what brought you into that community and drives you to stay?
Yeah, well, it really started with Daniel. I mean, he was the first veteran that I'd spent, I realized was a veteran that I had talked to. So he reached out to me when he was in Afghanistan contracting, and I was still in Shanghai running my branding agency on LinkedIn. So we always say this is a LinkedIn love story.
Nice.
Yeah. But anyway, he reached out. He was asking for mentorship about startups. He wanted to build his own startup at some point. We ended up talking, and I also asked him, hey, why are you in Afghanistan contracting? You have an MBA in finance. You're super savvy, really smart. And he's like, well, here's what my transition was like. So I listened to his transition story, found it really interesting, and asked a ton of questions. And then was like, hey, is transition difficult for a lot of veterans? And he was like, well, Diana, let me just connect you with all my friends who are transitioning. And so at the same time, I think, so to elaborate a little bit more on this whole conversation took place over an 8-month period. Daniel and I were online friends for 8 months. When we were talking about veterans transitioning, he was connecting me to his friends. And originally we would do Skype calls. I do video calls and Skype calls with his Marine friends. And the whole premise was for me in all my life, networking has been, not networking, building real and meaningful relationships has been so key to my personal life. I have more than 50 mentors, more than 70 mentees, same thing. And across the board. And since I built my very first venture, I've always had tons of mentors because I see myself as this leaky little sailboat with tons of holes. And I have to basically plug all of these sailboat holes with mentors and advisors who know better than I do. Because I never knew anything about the industries I got into. Branding being a key example. I was running a branding agency with no experience in marketing or branding, right? You only do that if you have great advisors and mentors.
Absolutely.
And so when I was meeting Daniel's friends, I was like, hey, where are you guys getting advice from? Who are your mentors? Who are your advisors? Who are your sponsors, your champions? And so every industry they'd be interested in, I've tried to connect them to everyone within my network or Daniel's network or our friends' networks. And at some point, we were starting to burn out our own network. So we realized, okay, well, we need a scalable platform. But before this, I'll also explain there's 2 things. So one was understanding transition and the complexity of transition and how it wasn't as easy as just saying, go to this job board and look up this job. It was literally spending time to explore what someone wanted to do with their life. I would have conversations with Marines where they'd just be like, yeah, no one's ever asked me that question of what I actually want to do before. Yeah. No one's even stopped me to ask me about my life. My 10-year plan, what? My personal vision for the impact and legacy I want to create on this world. Right. So all of this got us thinking, like, it's more than just one mentor. It's more than just one conversation. It's more than that. But the real impetus to action was, I think once you start getting to know people in the military community, you start meeting them everywhere. You just like see them everywhere all of a sudden. So I was actually in like Southeast Asia at an advertising conference when I met, so I was learning trapeze. This is really hilarious. So I was learning trapeze, and my trapeze instructor felt like he was military. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, were you in the military? And he goes, yeah, I was a Marine. And I was like, well, I'm talking to all these Marines about transition right now. Can you tell me, what was your transition like? And he just looked at me and he was just like, Diana, not good. And I was like, why? And he goes, well, I've been to 3 funerals since I got out of the military, all friends who committed suicide. And I just remember like losing my breath and being stunned. And I called Daniel immediately and said, hey, no one's ever talked to me about suicides. What's going on? And he was like, yeah, it's a major issue in the military, 22 a day, all of this. And I was like, mind blown. And in that instant, I think I told Daniel, I was probably a little bit drunk too. So I told Daniel and I was like, hey, let's just turn the gas up on this. Like, it should not be a side project anymore. What we can build with Veterati will literally not just empower individuals to be able to find their dream jobs. This will change people's lives. And I think after you understand that, there's no possible way you could ever go back. Right.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah, I know, I got out in 97 and the process that I went through when I transitioned was ridiculous. And it's become leaps and bounds from there today, but it still isn't perfected. And if I had some of the same resources that are available today to veterans, places like Veterati, I wonder where I would be today. When I got out in 97, I literally was handed an ID card so I could get back in the States because I out-processed overseas, and a plane ticket, and said, there you go. There was no career transition. There was no any of the services that they offer today. If you want to be an entrepreneur, there's classes for it or anything else. It was literally just, here you go. You're on your own. The cab will pick you up and take you to the airport. And it's like, you would have nowhere to go, nothing to do, and even then when I came back to my local area in Syracuse, New York, there was not a lot of services. At that time I thought about starting a business, and I reached out to places like the Small Business Administration, and all they could do is go, we can help you get a loan. I'm like, no, I want to learn how to be an entrepreneur. And they're like, we don't have anything. And today there's just tons of resources that are out there and available, but it's still that transition process going from military to civilian life is lacking.
Absolutely.
So a Midwestern girl from Ohio who had a big dream of changing the world has now started that process. How does it feel?
So amazing. I think it's like the greatest luxury in life. I know like there are so many things that suck about early stage startup. I can't even begin. There are so many things that like, it's a trials and tribulations type of journey, right? But at the same time, I feel like I've been given the greatest luxury in all of life. Like I literally am given this opportunity to build and grow something that actually changes people's lives like every single day. And I mean, we see it. It's so crazy to be able to see all the reviews coming in and the job secured notifications coming in. Like we get the survey results, the letters that come in every single time whenever our mentees are landing jobs, whenever mentors' lives are being transformed. I mean, it's kind of part and parcel of the fact that we build it into our data system to be able to capture everything. But it's just like, it's mind blowing. And I think I really am a big fan of Tony Robbins. And he says like the 2 things that make you feel most alive, growing and giving. Absolutely. And yeah. And even though, we're still a teeny little company making our way in the world, figuring out all of our stuff, but the giving and growing part, I feel like I get like 1,000% of that every single day. And it's such a luxury. Like I really think of it as like, wow, I have such a luxurious lifestyle because I have these 2 things that matter so much,
Absolutely. A lot of times you look at people and they automatically go to money. And I'm like, there's so much more to life than just money.
There is.
And it's, as you said, that reward, that feeling you get when you give back without even realizing, all of a sudden you just see everything else come together in your life. Pieces just start falling into place for you. So there is a question I've been asking all of my guests. Mm-hmm. If you could talk to one person from any point in history, who would it be and why?
I have a lot of those people. It's my Thanksgiving dinner table. I have this fantasy of like my Thanksgiving dinner table of who I would invite across all of history. I think I really love Abraham Lincoln. He'd probably be my number one. Because first, like, he's hilarious. He's the common man's man. And also he has all these anecdotes. Like, I would love to have a conversation with him and see the way he responds to questions and conversations, because it's apparently all through metaphor. Yeah. But yeah, I would love to be able to meet someone like him. Because, I mean, again, it's like we're the sum average of the 5 people who are closest to us. So imagine if you could literally have Abraham Lincoln sitting like right there.
It would be interesting to see if, the way that things are written about him, if that's the way he actually talked or if it's all been paraphrased.
Exactly.
Because some of the stuff, it's like, really? And if you look at, the position that people hold the president in today, it's like you wouldn't expect a common man as Abraham Lincoln to be in that position.
Yeah.
But he was. So
he's a great communicator. I mean, it's just like, Abe, and then I really, really admire Abraham Lincoln. I also I think Abe would be my number one. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else who would transcend. Nope, it's definitely Abe. Who's yours, Kevin?
It's Abraham Lincoln. It was funny that you picked that up. Yep, that's absolutely. Nuts. So, it varies. At different points, what I'm doing. There's times that I could wish I could go talk to certain people, but overall, it's usually Abraham Lincoln. So
got it.
And it's for kind of the same reason. It's just he makes me laugh. So it's just reading some of the stuff and seeing some of the quotes and stuff that are out there from him are just hilarious. So I know you're a busy lady, and I appreciate the time you've given us. I know our listeners will enjoy the great value you've brought to our show today. Before we go, is there anything else you'd like to share?
I would just say the words "thank you for your service" have never been enough for me, but for everyone listening who has served, for all the spouses as well, really thank you for your service. From the bottom of my heart. I never understood this community until I had the chance to build something for you guys, but this is like the greatest honor of my life. So thank you.
Thank you for everything you do.
Wow, I cannot thank Diana enough for her time and value. This was a really great interview. After finishing up the recording, we continued our conversation for another 30 plus minutes about mentorship and where Veterati is heading. All good stuff. If you are not taking advantage of the Veterati network today, you are missing out. Go sign up. Become a mentee, a mentor, or even both. Connect with me. You will find a link to my profile on the show notes page located at changeyourpov.com/RBF003. And while you're there, we would love to hear your feedback about our show. Be sure to become a supporter via Patreon. Your donation helps keep Change Your POV bringing you valuable programs, helping you become as successful out of uniform as you were in. Before we dig into our marketing tip of the week, let's hear a quick word from a couple of our sponsors. Are you part of the Veteran Entrepreneur Mastermind? No? What are you waiting for? Head over to Facebook today and join our group of veteran entrepreneurs. It's free, so you have no excuses. Search for the Veteran Entrepreneur Mastermind group on Facebook. Does your business need a website? Visit Pink Tie Technology Group at pinktietech.com. That is pink as in the color, P-I-N-K. Tie as what a gentleman wears, T-I-E. Tech, short for technology, T-E-C-H. Be sure to mention that you are a veteran and save up to 50% on your new website. For our marketing tip this week, we're going to discuss Facebook and the value it can bring to your business. Do you currently have a Facebook account that you use personally? Do you use the mobile Facebook app? Does your business have a Facebook page? The answer to all of these questions should be yes, and let's tell you why. Worldwide, Facebook has over 1.94 billion monthly active users, with an 18% increase year over year. 1.15 billion mobile daily active users, with a 23% increase year over year. and 1.28 billion people log into Facebook daily. On average, the like and share buttons are viewed across almost 10 million websites every single day. For a study that was done on the top 20 brands in the United States, so this is places, like Nike and Gatorade and some of the biggest brand names that you can think. They looked at their posts and the interactions they were getting on their posts, and they saw that on average, the interaction types, 77% of them were reaction based. That's people saying, hey, I like it, I love it, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever it be. 14% were sharing it, and 9% were leaving comments. Out of these post types, 53% of them were video. 30% contained a photo, and 17% contained a link. So what do all these stats show us? They show us there's a market there. People use Facebook. They're on there daily. It's part of their lives. What did it cost these top 20 brands to get these kind of interactions? Nothing. That's right. Facebook is free for businesses. You can create your posts at no charge. You can have a business page at no charge. Do they have advertising platforms? Absolutely. We'll get into that here shortly. But first, let's talk about a Facebook business page. If you're a follower of this show, then you've heard me say it before in our inaugural episode that even 10 years ago, to be considered a legitimate business, you had to be listed in that yellow pages. You needed to have a directory listing in there as well as a display ad. And that meant that you were there, you were a business. Today, that is having a Facebook business page. People go to Facebook and they look at your business page. Does it exist, for one? Are there friends liking your page? Are there friends posting that they're there, they're buying stuff from you, they're visiting you, they're eating at your restaurant? What are the reviews? What does the rest of the community say about you? Is this a place they want to do business? They look up, is your phone number there? What are your hours? How do I get to your business if you're a brick and mortar? So you need to have a business page, at least, out of anything. Do yourself a favor and get a business page for your business on Facebook. So let's talk about reviews. People are all cautious about, I don't want to have reviews out there. I don't want people to leave me negative reviews. 88% of consumers trust online reviews as much as a personal recommendation. Are negative reviews okay? Abso-freaking-lutely. To me, if a business has no negative reviews, I'm scared. They're either scrubbing it, cleaning it, or they're doing something to not have those negative reviews. What it comes down to is how you as a business owner react to those negative reviews. Are you high-strung, and are you turning around and firing back at these people with more negativity? Or are you simply stating the facts or apologizing that you couldn't meet their needs that day? Recently I had a client of mine who had somebody who posted a very negative review about their business. They came back with the facts that they had no record of this person being a customer, and this is a type of business that has the name of every single one of their customers. It's a membership style business that, it's in the fitness industry. I'll leave it at that. If you think about, going to the gym, they know who you are. So for a person to leave this negative review and then my client not have any records, they simply stated that fact. I apologize. We have no record for you. We would love to sit down and talk to you about these problems you experienced. The person never responded back. Now, had they fired back and said, you're completely effing wrong, you suck, blah, 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 it would show negativity on that business, that they don't know how to handle it. I have another friend of mine that would love for me to manage his social media for him, and the only way I would do it is if he had no access to his accounts, and he won't give that up. Because he constantly, the minute somebody leaves him a review, fires back negatively. And it kills me because he's just hurting his own business out of anything. I mentioned to you that people are looking to see who in their network is following you, visiting you, recommending you. This is all social proof, and this is what everybody looks for today. How many people in their network know your business, can vouch for your business? It's getting that personal recommendation without being face-to-face. So this is all great, fine and dandy. You're saying, hey, Kevin, but wait a minute. I don't even know what to post, how to post, or none of this. What should be in there? Hey, let's take a look at a quick post. So your post wants to contain a couple of things. A message. You want to uniquely tailor it towards your business and to fit what your criteria, what people are looking for. In other words, match your targeted audience. Match your business. The message needs to be relevant. You want to have hashtags in there. You want to have 1 to 2 relevant hashtags so people can find your post when searching. That's right, because not everybody's going to see your post directly. So what is a hashtag, you ask? You've probably seen them out there and you've asked yourself, what the heck are these? They are keywords that are prefixed with a number sign. That keyword is then searchable. You can find all the other posts that are tagged out there with that hashtag. What else do you need? If you're going to put a link within there, you want to make sure that the address that people are going to can be a website, a blog article, whatever, that you use a URL shortener. Because nobody wants to take a look and see this big, long string of a URL. So when possible, use a URL shortener. There's plenty of them out there. They're freely available. So now it's time to ask yourself that age-old question. Photo or video? Your post should always contain a video or a photo. This should be unique and one which you own the copyrights to. There are many photo sites which you can get photos from if you don't have your own. However, it is always best to use ones from your own business featuring your own staff and your products. One other trick you can do when posting a link from a third party. So say you're posting from Parenting Magazine and it comes up with their image on there and you want it to be your own, you can change that out. Utilize this option to increase your engagement because people will associate that article with your business. All right. Now you've got your Facebook business profile. You've got yourself all set up. But now I want to talk to you about the most incredibly easy to use free marketing tool that does not get used enough by small business. That is Facebook Live. Facebook Live allows you to interact with your customers live. Answer questions. It's the best way that you can interact with them in real time. You can field their burning questions. You can hear what's on their mind. You can check out their live reactions to gauge how your broadcast is going. So what happens if a customer misses a live session? No worries. It shows up in your video section of your Facebook page. They can come back and watch a replay. Why is Facebook Live a must for your business? Live streaming is all about connecting and interacting with your audience in real time. It breaks down barriers and creates a connection that transcends traditional marketing limitations. Think, what would you remember more? Reading an interesting article or watching a video that lets you become part of the conversation? It is total transparency. Your audience wants authenticity. And there is nothing more authentic than a live video. So what are some of the things that you can do as ideas for a Facebook Live? Share quick tips. Offer a Q&A session, a presentation or training. Stream from live events. If you're having a conference, a business show, a speaker, anything, you can stream from it. You can do product demonstrations. You can host interviews with people. And you can get behind the scenes of your business. Wow, you're thinking, great, this is great, I need this. But wait, Kevin, how expensive is it? Do I need fancy equipment? How hard is it to do? I need this for my business, please. Guess what? It's free. Do you need fancy equipment? Absolutely not. Chances are you're already carrying it around every day. Your simple cell phone. If you've got a smartphone with the Facebook app, you can go live, utilizing the camera that's on that phone. You can also do a webcam from a computer. Many laptops today have a webcam built right into them. Can you get all fancy and get some really high-end and expensive camera equipment? Absolutely. Do you need it? Nope. So, how hard is it? It's extremely easy. That's right, easy. Why are you not using it for your business? If you can create a Facebook post, which is simply just going in, typing some text in there, then you'll pull down the list of options and you'll see a button right in there that says Go Live. You press it, it shows you a preview of your camera. So if you're on your phone, you can choose either the front-facing camera, the one looking at you to do kind of like a selfie, or the rear-facing camera that would show something out and about that you're looking at. So whether you're hiking through the woods, you're out doing a live demonstration, you could go live. So when it comes up, shows you the preview, you got the option to switch the camera around. When you hit the Go Live button the second time, it counts down from 3, 2, 1, bam, you are on Facebook. So, again, I ask you, why are you not utilizing this free tool in your business? So I'm going to issue this challenge. Go out there and start utilizing Facebook Live today. Tag me in it. Tag either Pink Tie Technology Group, tag myself, Kevin Fairbanks, change the Change Your POV network, Remove Before Flight, whatever page of mine that you like, you follow, whatever you want to tag in there so it comes back to me. I want to see it. I want you to share those with me. I'd be more than happy to give you feedback. If you have additional questions, reach out to me. Visit our show notes page, changeyourpov.com/RBF003 for this show. And you'll find ways that you can leave comments in there. You'll find a link to our Facebook stuff. I want to see your Facebook Live videos. Show me that you're utilizing it in your business today. If you have questions, let me know. All right, everybody, it's time to wrap up this show and get out of here. Life is short. Don't just dream, do. We will see you next week on Remove Before Flight. Thank you for listening.